Let's call the Schilling Show at schillingshow.com. Let's call it before it's news. Because I told you this in a predictive manner. We predicted this was going to happen based on very good information that was all documented, and it was completely ignored by every other local media outlet. But if you were looking on June 15th and any day thereafter at schillingshow.com, this was the lead story. Payday. Disgraced Albemarle County Public Schools Superintendent Haas, that's Matt Haas, Ed.D., to receive continuing pay for resigning. And then the subhead was rewarding misfeasance. In other words, someone who's done, let's just say, a lousy job. We could have put a lot of other words in there, and you can fill in the blank yourself. But rewarding somebody for doing poorly in the service of his job. And I said, when I made this comment about this story, that he should pay back. He should not only get his butt kicked the hell out of the door, with all due respect, that's a figurative speech, that he should pay back every cent that he ever received because he ruined the schools time and time again. He ruined kids' education, and now kids, because of his misfeasance, are suffering badly. So what we told you was that there was a stipulation in his contract. This is called circling the wagons, or CYA, or taking care of your own. When they hire somebody in these government schools, they basically tell them, hey, you can work here, and if something goes wrong, we'll ask you to resign. And if we ask you to resign like we were going to fire you but don't fire you because we don't have the stones to do it, then we'll pay you on the way out of the door. Up to 10 months. Well, it looks like a little more than 10 months, like they went above and beyond what the contract called for. But that was the story. We quoted right out of the contract. We put a copy of the employment contract. All of this was completely documented in advance. Schillingshow.com, a.k.a. before it's news. Now, this is what we said on the 15th. So then what happened? This comes out 5 days later on June 20th, which was over the weekend. Imagine that, a press release over the weekend. You think people aren't paying attention on Friday? Well, they're really not paying attention on Saturday. I gotta love it. This coming from Jason Grant, who's the spokesperson for Albemarle County Government Schools, who, by the way, he's very responsive to me. So at this point, I have absolutely no issues with Jason Grant. He has definitely gone above and beyond. But let's go to this now. Consider what I just told you about before it's news. Haas resigns from ACPS superintendent. And I think they spelled it wrong, too. Superintendent position. Okay, I guess he was in a hurry to get it out the door. And they don't usually check the spelling on the headlines. All right, here we go. The Albemarle County Government School Board and Matthew Haas, Ed.D., have agreed to terms of his resignation. Haas's separation from the Albemarle County Government Schools is effective immediately. Oh, I love the term effective immediately. You mean just like when they had effective immediately over at Western Albemarle High School, when they weren't allowed to have Erica Kirk come to town because it was effective immediately, no outside speakers, and then the very next day, effective immediately excluded the Democrats who had an outside speaker? There was an asterisk next to effective immediately, and there's one here too. You'll see in a moment. Severance pay and benefits available in the event of resignation or termination without cause under the employment contract will be provided. Without cause. Interesting. What it really means is they asked him to resign, otherwise they would fire his butt out of there. And he did. And so everyone gets to say kumbaya moment, and we go forward. Now here are the details. Specifically, Haas will continue to receive his regular pay and current benefits through June of 2027. So the contract stipulates 10 months. He's getting 12 months or so. As previously agreed to by the school board and former superintendent, the base pay will increase. How could you do such a lousy job that you have to be kicked out the door and you're getting a pay increase? This is what I mean by CYA and circle the wagons. 3.75% pay increase. Boy, are you getting one of those? I'm sure I haven't seen that in years. Nothing like that. to $257,165.67 from July 1, 2026 through June 30th of 2027, and an $800 bonus. Just in case you need to be kicked in the teeth further with your tax dollars going to pay this guy on the way out the door when he should be paying us. Now listen to this tripe. Listen to this tripe. I could call it a hot steaming load. We appreciate the years of service and dedication Dr. Haas, Ed.D, provided to the Albemarle County government schools throughout his career, and we wish him the best in his future endeavors, said Rebecca Berlin, the school board chair. Now, that was probably a negotiated statement. We're going to say this, and then they both got to say what they wanted the statement. That would be both parties. That would be my guess. What they should have said was, he did a lousy job, we asked him to leave, and his contract stipulated that if he left when we asked him to leave, then he would get paid this bonus, but we regret having to pay it because clearly we were unhappy with him. We were clearly disappointed in the horrible thing that he did in not attending to the situation over all these years properly. That would be his employment, and therefore we're parting ways. That would have been an honest statement. Well, maybe at least for one person on the school board. I have a feeling there's people here that really regret they're having to say goodbye, but they had to throw somebody under the bus because parents were ticked, and rightfully so. And believe me, I have heard from people that I don't even know, and probably people that didn't really know about this program but were directed in this way because there is one place which would give them ear. And so people are talking to me behind the scenes and off the record because, well, they're concerned. And it goes far, far beyond these incidents, these two incidents at Woodbrook Elementary and Hollymead Elementary. As horrendous as they are, there's much more. There are people who have been treated horribly. There are kids who have been abused horribly by these government schools. And we know they've circled the wagons and made settlements. Well, they're making settlement deals again, or they're trying to. If you just keep your mouth shut, the fact that your kid was somehow abused or not treated right or sexually traumatized, we'll give you some money, but nobody gets to know about it. That's got to stop. That's got to end. That never should have happened in the first place. Whatever became of that JV football team? Was that over at Albemarle High School a few years back where there was all this talk that somebody was sexually assaulted, and I'll be very delicate here. Somebody was sexually assaulted with an inanimate object, and it might have been like a beer bottle or something. And you can imagine what might have happened. That was an allegation. I have no proof, but there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of smoke, but we couldn't find what the details were. And then it all went away, leading me and other reasonable people to believe that there was a settlement in that case, that everyone agreed, we'll take the money and shut our traps and not say anything about it. And this has gone on time and time again. These are things we hear about. We hear little whispers and rumblings. But can you imagine there have been probably a lot of things that have been completely shut down, and the money was paid out by taxpayers and nobody knew a damn thing about it. It's time for that to stop, school board. Stop protecting crooked behavior, potentially criminal behavior. Stop paying people off for their silence. Pay them off and let them talk. If they've been damaged, they deserve to tell their story. And just because you want to protect your reputation does not give you an excuse to be dishonest, which is what this is. It's absolute dishonesty. So let me conclude by going to the third related story. First, we had before its news, the Schilling Show predicted pretty much exactly what was going to happen, and it did 5 days in advance of them telling you. We all knew what was going to happen, and now this brilliant press release from the Albemarle County Republicans. I would gag on my next blizzard. I'm going to get another one of those Choco Donut explosions. I would gag on my next blizzard if this comes to pass, but kudos to Phil Reese, who actually is out of town right now, far away. I'm not going to say where, but far, far away, at least at this very moment. Albemarle County Republican Committee, the ACRC, calling on former Albemarle County Government School Superintendent Matt Haas, Ed.D., to donate his severance pay to an ACPS Student Recovery and Victim Support Fund. Brilliant, appropriate, and should be done. For elementary students and families affected by the criminal case involving former ACPS employee Michael Sweeney, or Sweeney, depending on what day it is. ACRC is asking the Albemarle County School Board to support this dedicated student fund so children affected by the sexual abuse allegations can receive the help they need and deserve. Wouldn't that be a wonderful way for Matt Haas, EDD, to go out the door? I don't think he'll ever do it. I would be very surprised, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. The school board should get behind it, but they never will because they've already released their statement. They're not going to say, well, now we're saying that he needs to give the money to the student fund because, well, there's already money from another source maybe going to a student fund. They'll find it out of your pocket and mine. This from Phil Reese and the ACRC. The school board announced over the weekend Haas's resignation is, quote, effective immediately. There we go with that term again. But they'll continue receiving regular pay and benefits, including more than $257,000 in base salary. Believe me, when it all adds up, that's going to be over $300,000, almost $250,000 for doing things poorly, and maybe worse. Haas will receive 1 year of severance pay, despite 6 out of 7 school board members reportedly voting to ask for his resignation. And we heard that Dr. Acuff conveniently was absent during the vote. I don't have official record of that, but from a very good source. She was the one, by the way, who signed his initial contract when they hired him those few years ago. Well, 7-8 years ago. Former Superintendent Haas has an opportunity to do the right thing, said Phil Reese, the chairman of the ACRC. He has an opportunity to show whether he cares more about Matt Haas, yes, he does, he's already shown that, or helping children and families affected by the crisis. He's no longer leading the ACPS. Well, he never really was. He was leading it over a cliff. That's generous of Phil. But he can still choose to put the children first. Well, he can, but he won't because, well, he feels he's entitled here. Phil Reese said, this is deeply personal for many people in Albemarle County. I have 2 children, he's speaking of himself, who went to Hollymead Elementary. My youngest child will enter kindergarten at Hollymead next year. Parents send their children to school trusting that the basic safeguards are in place. Matt Haas should not walk away with a big payday while parents are left asking why stronger child protection policies were not put in place sooner. Why are these teachers meeting behind closed doors with students one-on-one, or maybe taking walks in the woods? I've heard that was going on. I don't have verification of that, but this will all come out in court probably. But why was this happening? And Phil goes on to call for changes in policy because ACPS could have and should have done better. Effective immediately. The moment ACPS became aware of these allegations, he continues in a quote, every elementary school should have been given clear rules to prevent staff from being alone with young children behind closed doors. And I say that should have been done effective immediately. Good grief. All right, those are 3 stories that all tied together. Before it's news, the weekend resignation announcing a huge payday, which we told you was coming, and then the brilliant masterstroke of Phil Reese and the Albemarle County Republicans saying, give the money back so that the children, the ones who were put into harm's way because of your malfeasance or misfeasance or whatever it was allegedly that you did not do and should have, or did and shouldn't have, this will all come out in court. And by the way, there are lots of people looking into court options, and lots of people looking into this whole situation, as in investigators. I think they should be.